Yeah, when we started with this, we started back in 2020 with our first fundraiser course was with Venerable Lecture. So for he and Venerable Dolma, so what they did is like, they take that, since everybody on the bonus day were part of the course before the best 9 days before. So if they have so many questions that they were not able to ask, and then also if they have questions from something to do with Buddhism but not necessarily related to the topic itself, so like, all those questions were taken care on that day. So those sponsor were, that was kind of the
right
advantage of the being sponsor of the course, that they get this day special, that they get to interact with the teacher more closely.
okay
Right. Yeah.
Cool. So shall we start then? What do you think?
Sure, Venerable. Yeah, I've counted the other day, so I think, I mean, my count was coming about like, 11, 12 people, so 12 are
Yes.
there already, so I think we are.
Yes, Hawara's not here yet, but he might come. I think he also did a
Okay.
different course, yeah. But not everyone might come. They might just like to sponsor and
Yes, Venerable. Yeah, we are trying to actually, bring a change in here, but it's like, we don't know we are not sure what will be the best solution, because we have to think for Tushita also, like, in the pandemic, we are finding it difficult financially. So it's like, yeah, trying to find out the best solution, but we haven't yet.
right.
Yeah.
Anyway, we can make a nice 1.5 hour of this, and so it's all going to be, and I also prepared a little bit, and somebody asked, I think so, that was related to a question. So maybe we start with 10-15 minutes questions, and then I say a little bit about connection and disconnection, and then we can go back to questions if people have questions. Yeah, we just see a little bit how it goes. So to make this really a useful 1.5 hour, if you have been practicing Buddhism for a while, then you know that two things are very important. It's how you start and how you finish. Right? If you start with a really good motivation and you know what you are here for, and then at the end we dedicate the merits, then what we do in between is maybe not so important. We do it with a good motivation, and then all the merit we dedicate. Right? So I suggest that we do take a couple of minutes to settle the mind. And because our minds, they like to run, they like to be free. They do not want to have any limitations. And we don't really settle the mind to give it limitations, but when we settle the mind, what we do is that we let the delusions subside. We give our nature of the mind more space. We give our inner qualities of wisdom and compassion more space. And with these qualities, also a feeling of happiness and joy can arise in the mind, which is different from the excitement due to attachment. Huge difference. And so we like that joy. And being in a place that comes with the feeling of freedom from delusions. So our real freedom is there. And then having connected with these qualities inside your own mind, generate a positive motivation. That whatever benefit is going to come from being here today, from asking questions, from reflecting, from listening, from setting motivation and dedication, any benefit that comes, may that be a nourishment for our development of our full potential. May that nourish our full potential of wisdom and compassion, may become a cause for the qualities of wisdom and compassion to grow more and more in our own mind stream. And the reason why we like to develop these qualities is that not just for ourselves, not just because we want to be free of suffering, but because we see that everybody else is in the same boat as we are, and they have the same longings as we are. And so what we're going to do is we're going to use whatever benefit comes from this, we're going to use that for the benefit of all sentient beings. And then with that in mind, we take refuge. I go for refuge until enlightenment to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By listening to the teachings and practicing the perfections, may I achieve the state of a Buddha for the sake of all sentient beings. So who have you brought questions? Who would like to start? Oh, Alice. Wait 1 second, you're not unmuted yet. Yes.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so my first question is about attachment. Yeah, I understood that you said in attachment, we exaggerate the positive qualities. So therefore, we're always disappointed. There is always a lack in the desire. But what I don't understand is, why do we always want more, Like after eating pizza this week, next week still I will want. So I understand that we are always disappointed, but what I don't understand is like, why do we always want more, more, more? Yeah.
Part of the disappointment is just that it isn't enough. It is not satisfying. We're still dissatisfied. So we want to do it again. We'll try again.
Oh, okay, just because,
right? We
yeah.
want more. And we eat today.
Oh.
And we have a full stomach, but tomorrow it's empty again. We need to eat again.
Yeah, why is that? I mean,
that's just the desire. That is how it manifests.
Mm.
We are here in the desire realm, where we have a longing to experience the pleasures of the sense objects.
Okay, so it's in the nature of attachment itself that
Yes.
It's never ending.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
And then my other question is about emptiness. I understand that the merely labeled part, okay, but what I don't understand is that there is a base, the mind is projecting something on the base, but I want to know, what is the mind projecting? Is it projecting a name or a meaning on that base?
Or both?
Yeah, that's not so clear for me what the mind is projecting.
Right, but you are clear because you know it, right? That's the question. But you want to maybe know when the mind is projecting what?
Yeah, not when. Yeah, also when. Yeah, when does it project and what does it project exactly? Yeah, I know it projects something, but not so clear about the when and what. Yeah.
Right. So when you walk on the street,
Hmm.
what is your mind doing?
Thinking some stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
From where you are or from where you're going? What is
Uh,
your mind thinking? Are you in the
oh, just no, getting lost in thoughts, mostly
Right.
about future. Yeah.
about the future?
Yeah.
So that's attachment also. That's the nature of attachment.
Hmm.
So when you see a car on the street, right, and you see the car coming by, what happens in your mind? Do you know it is a car?
Mm-hmm.
You know it is a car.
Yeah.
How do you know it is a car?
I have been taught when I was young that this is called car.
This is called car. So that is the name. That is the sound generality. And so what has been taught to you that is a car, that we call car?
Maybe it has 4 wheels.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Speed. Yeah, that's it, I think.
So what's the difference between a car and a tractor?
Oh, okay, then relatively small size.
Yes. Yes.
Uh-huh.
And so then you think about all the characteristics of a car, right? And that appears in your mind. So when we see the car, there is the meaning generality, there is the image of car that we project, and there is a sound car that we project.
Okay, so you mean the generality is kind of like a set of a group of characteristics. I take this whole group of characteristic and put it in my mind when I see car.
Yes.
A specific group of characteristics.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's a little bit more clear.
And so when you are with your friend in your house and you just bought a new car, and then you say to your friend, you know, I bought a new car, and you start talking about the car.
Yeah.
Then what she gets the sound generality. She knows, you know, that there is a car, and that the car, maybe you give your car a name or whatever, you talk about the car. But she hasn't seen the car yet. So she doesn't have the correct meaning generality. But from your description, she can make an idea. Oh, it looks like this, it looks like that. But the meaning generality is not yet about the car itself because she hasn't seen the car. But then you take her to the garage and you say, this is my car. And then your friend, you know, gets the information, and independence on that generates the meaning generality in the mind.
So what is the meaning generality? The meaning generality is the whole precise image.
Yes, not the whole image. I mean, we do that in a simplistic way, right? You don't see every aspect of the car, right? We simplify that. Yes, that is the meaning generality. But the meaning generality, the qualities of that, it is mainly about the qualities. You know, the meaning generality is permanent in nature.
Oh, so you mean the 4 wheels, the speed, the relatively small size, that thing?
No, that is not your meaning generality. These are aspects that you see in your meaning generality. Your meaning generality is one image coming to your mind.
Okay, so can that image be different for everyone? When you tell me you got a new car and I hear it and another person hear it, we have a different image, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it depends on what? Does it depend on like the number of cars that we have seen in our life and then we make up like a average, or how is it formed, that mental image?
Experience has something to do with that, but I don't know, you know, also karma has to do with that, not just this lifetime, many lifetimes. We are all unique, you know, so the images that arise to the mind, they're also unique.
Okay, so it's like if I have seen a lot of red cars, then maybe most probably image will be red,
No,
like that.
no, because when you tell me that you bought a white car, I'm not going to have an image of a red car.
Oh yeah, but I'm saying if I tell just car, I bought a car.
Yes, then normally no color comes.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, that's clear.
This is how the mind works. The mind works with exclusion, so only the information that you give me will generate that image.
Okay.
If you talk about a white car, the image will be of a white car. If you talk about car, the image will be of car, but no color.
Okay. Yeah, and the last question is, this is really the last. It's about karma. I want to know if everything is already written, it's kind of like, it depends on which karma will ripen. Then what's the point of doing anything? If it's already written in advance, depending on my karma, whether I will get this job or not get, why should I prepare for the interview? If it's already written in advance, whether I will get cured or not from the cancer, why should I take medicine? So the deterministic aspect.
Where does it say that in the text that it is already written? I've never seen that.
Yeah, but I always feel like that when I listen to Buddhist teaching. It's like this thing happened to you because that karma ripens. So then it's like it's already like that the seed is already there and then it ripens. So then I cannot do anything. The seed is already there and it is already written that it will ripen. Then what can I do?
So the seed is already there, right? So the seed ripens in dependence on causes and conditions. Without causes and conditions, the seed cannot ripen.
Okay.
Without the proper causes and conditions, the seed cannot fully ripen. So there you have a lot of you can influence what is going to happen.
Oh, okay. Like how?
By creating the causes and conditions for certain seeds to ripen.
Like going to courses, doing purification. Yeah.
I think so. When you do purification practices, they say that what you're doing is you decrease the power of the negative seeds.
Okay.
Right. So then even when these seeds ripen, the result will not bring you as much suffering as when you had not done the purification practice.
Okay, so it's like not working on the seed itself, but you're working on the soil around the seed, right?
Yes.
Okay, so so that is a part of working on the causes and conditions.
That is working on the yes. These are also causes and conditions.
Okay, so purification is one thing. Then what are the other things that could influence the causes and conditions in my favor?
Well, if you go for a job interview, then you know that in this world, people like to see you in a certain way. Right? So you look representative for the job. You speak in a way that will be suitable for the job. Right? If you go and you dress in a way that you know that they would not appreciate that, you already limit your own chances of getting the job.
Oh, okay. So before going to the job, there is not like as if a seed is going to determine whether I'll get the job or not.
Because you take care of the causes and conditions. It is not that it is already written in the stars. You're going to get a job for sure. You can mess it up.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. I thought that like there are the seeds and it's already determined in advance which seed is going to come up and ripen when and all.
No. Some things, some very few things, yes, but many things, they evolve through life.
Okay, yeah, that's clear. Thank you. Sorry for taking up time.
No problem, Alice. No problem. There was a question on the board. Can we say that the root of all attachment and desire is the fear of death? So the root of all attachment and desire is a self-grasping mind. right? That is the root. So does the self-grasping mind arise from fear of death? I'm not sure. I've never heard that, but I understand why you think like that. Because we hold on to that self because we do not want to fade out of existence, right? And so that is definitely a very big one in order to realize emptiness. You know, if we have strong fear of death, then realizing the lack of inherent existence is very, very difficult. We need to totally let go of that whole self-grasping mind in order to get beyond that, in order to realize the nature of reality. So it is a very big one, but I could not say today quickly yes or no, or I haven't thought about it. But I know that fear of death, I mean, if we look into society at the moment, the last 2 years, you can see that the fear of death is really ruling the life of so many people. And but I see, you know, a big connection between the way that we have approached death in the last, I don't know, as long as I lived, you know, 50 years or maybe longer. I think we have removed death from our life. I think we removed ourselves from death. We are not used to people who are dying. We are not taking care of people who are dying. You know, we put them in a hospital, we put them in a hospice. When they are dead, we put them in a coffin and in the freezer, and you know, we maybe watch 1 or 2 times, but we're not really connecting with the dead person, with the body of the person. How I said yesterday, we don't speak like that, but I'm doing it myself. So I think we have removed ourselves so far from death, as if it's something, and separation comes with, you know, that is something, you know, that is scary or very unpleasant, or instead of teaching people how to be with those who are dying, and that it is something that is part of life. You know, death is not something different from life. It is part of life. And how we can make death meaningful for ourselves and for the person who is dying. If we would be with that death in that way, I think we still have a self-grasping mind. But we would be much better with dying and okay with dying, right? I think. So now I'm going to say, no, it's not the fear of death. But it is part of it. The fear of death comes from grasping itself. I think, yes. Don't you think, B? Yes. Grasping itself, and then also, you know, yes, grasping itself, that is underlying everything, right? Everything unpleasant that we experience, and also most pleasant things that we experience. The grasping itself is right at the root of all that. Any more questions? Otherwise, we're going to talk a little bit about connection. There is a question. Joby? You can talk. I can't hear you.
We can't hear you, Jogiji.
I can't hear you.
No.
No. Can you type the question? We can't hear anything. We can't hear you, Joby. You need to put up your volume, or maybe you have plugged in your, maybe you have to unplug something. There's still nothing. Try.
Maybe can you try without the headset? No.
Joey's gonna write.
Okay.
It might work to click arrow next to unmute and choose a different microphone. Yes.
Jogiji, I think we can hear you now. Can you try to say something?
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
We can.
Okay. I don't know what happened. Anyway, from my side, there is no change. Anyway, so my question was, we always say that we want to work for other sentient beings. So my curiosity is the role of Buddhism for activism for social justice, or the relationship between Buddhism and making a social change, because there is a lot of social injustice, and of course there is a poverty and a starvation and many more issues. So as a Buddhist or as an activist, how I can play a role? For environment, for social justice, or such other issues?
Yes, I think of course, if we can help sentient beings, we help. If somebody knocks on our door for help, we help where we can and as much as we can. Wanting to make social change. I mean, when I grew up as a Christian, and I was very much, I'm going to be in front of the change. I will walk ahead of everybody else and I will fight for the change. Now, 50 years later, I think very differently about that. And I think what we have to, yes, there is a lot of suffering. Yes, we wish everyone to be free of suffering. Yes, we help where we can. And if there is a possibility that we have a position in which we can change, yes, we can make a change, right? So we do what we can where we are. But in order to make real change, we need to change our karma. Right? If I'm born with the karma of having no money or being very poor, then even if people give me money, I will lose the money very quickly. Right? I can see that here everywhere. The moment certain people, oh, I want money, I want to build a house, they make enough money. But then they go at night to the cafe and they drink, or they gamble, and then, money gone, It is not just educating them to hold on to the money. There is this karma that they have that they just cannot hold on to the money. Then I can give this person as much money as I want, but that person is not going to hold on to the money, right? Because I cannot change their karma. That doesn't mean that I shouldn't give any money. That doesn't mean that I shouldn't practice generosity. But I cannot expect that I can change the karma of others. The Buddha couldn't do that. I definitely cannot do that. Right? Does that mean, therefore, that I do nothing? No, I do what I can. And if I feel very touched by the suffering of certain people, then I can use my resources to the best of my ability to help them, knowing that it might be the, how you say that in English, a drop on the hot plate. Do you say it like that? I don't know. You know what I mean? That you do something and it is like a band-aid. It alleviates the suffering for a certain amount of time and then it changes again. Change needs to come from the individual mind, from the individual person. Real change. So we can educate, you know, so teaching people about the mind and how their mind works and how they can make change so that they can create the causes for happiness and they can move away from creating the causes for suffering. That is, I feel that is the only thing I can do now. Right? And then I can, you know, do all the other perfections as well. But you know, the Buddha, I mean, this is what we say in Buddhism, that the only thing that is really going to work is that you teach people, that you educate people in how the mind works and how they can take power over their own life. I don't know if that answers your question, you know, but that shouldn't stop. If you know, there was, for instance, here, a monk, he has been working for 20 or 30 years for the families of the people who and their families who come and pick up the garbage. And they're living somewhere in very poor conditions. Their children have no options of going to school, and this monk has taken on the job to create better situation for these people. So he helps them with education, and he has given his children a place where they can go to school, where they can good education, so they can improve themselves and then maybe, you know, get out of that life of being, I wouldn't say a garbage man, but being that poor. So if you feel this is what I want to do with my life, then that is what you need to do with your life. Right? But other people feel like, no, my life is more about, I educate people and I teach them how to not create any negativities, but create the causes for happiness. This is what I want to do in my life. Then that is what I do in my life. And so we can all think, how can I contribute to having a better world? But at the same time, we are living in samsara, right? Where problems are always there, where things coming and going, where we are born due to karma, where karma can be extremely strong and very difficult to change. And we are the only ones who can change the karma. So there is no recipe within samsara that if I'm going to do that, I will change society, I will change the world forever in a positive way. That is not going to happen. You know, there are so many people who benefit from the misery. And these are the people who are most strong, have the most money, have the most power. And even if we, I mean, and that doesn't mean that we therefore shouldn't do anything, but this, I think, shows the nature of how difficult it is to make positive change. Right? There is, if you look into the whole power structure of the world, there are enough resources to educate everyone, to feed everyone, to have peace everywhere. There is enough, right? But the world is not like that, because there are some people who feel that everything should belong to them. So then it's very difficult to make change. Any change that you want to make, they let you do it for a while, and then they come and they smack you down. And which shouldn't stop you from doing what you feel that you need to be doing, you know. And I think what we can do is we can make change in individual lives. right? If you have someone who knocks on your door and who is very poor and has no education, and you say, you know what, I'm going to take you to school, I'll pay you for your school, I'll make sure, then you can make a huge change in one person's life. And that is very meaningful, and that is very satisfying.
So I hear two things. One is karma, which is like which plays very big role. And the second is thing, what I can do. So I play my role, but what I hear from you, karma plays most important role in their
Yes.
destiny, in their poverty, or in their suffering. I can play a very small role.
Yes. I think. Unless you have an extremely strong, pure, big mind, if you have the karma to benefit many, many, many beings. But in order to have that kind of karma, you need already to be this huge mind. You have to have a huge development in your mind. If you see who changed the world, what kind of beings have been here that had an influence on a huge amount of people. They're not many. But if you talk to individual people, then everyone will tell stories about someone who deeply influenced their life. And so there we can always touch people. But on the big scale, I'm not so, I don't think that, and I don't want to sound negative, but I don't think we have that many possibilities. But when we keep developing our mind, and we can keep developing our compassion, and we keep developing our wisdom and our patience, and we generate a karma, and we have the aspirational prayers that we want to help as many beings as possible. We will create a karma that we at a certain point can be in a position where we can help many sentient beings. Lama Zopa Rinpoche, he helps many sentient beings, right? He reaches out to many, many sentient beings. And what they say is in his previous life, what he was famous for was for the dedications. He always dedicated that he would be able to help so many sentient beings. And he did that extensively. So they say that in this life, that comes to fruition. And in this life, Lama Zopa dedicates even more than in past lives. I don't know if you ever heard him, extensive dedications. He would say, so we stop here. And then sometimes you think, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I can go to bed. And then he starts dedicating and you think, oh yeah, dedication, and sometimes that can take an hour. And then you have to stay awake, so he keeps dedicating with a very, very, very big mind. So we can imagine what is going to happen in his following life. All these prayers, they will start to come to fruition. Then he can benefit many, 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 many more beings than in this life. And so you can also take that long view. It's not just about this life. How can I be of benefit? How can I be of service for not just in this life, but also future lives and the life after that? What do I need to do for that? All right, but that is, that is just a view. That is, I think everybody should do what they feel they need to do.
Thank you.
Welcome. A drop in the ocean, says Paula. Yes. If people are starving, how can they have the energy and time to work on their minds? Yes, that's a very good question. This is what we contemplate when we contemplate our precious human rebirth. It is, we already have the merit that we have enough to eat, and that we, you know, because when you do not have enough to eat, the mind is in constant terror. Do I going to find enough food today in order to feed myself and my family? So yes, there is no space in the mind to practice. That's true. That's true. How can I work on the mind? Yeah, that's true. You know, it's very difficult. Is everything we do and think, if everything we do and think is a delusion, isn't it almost impossible to create merit that really makes a difference? So we start slowly, right? We cannot make big steps at a time. So yes, everything comes from a delusion, but you know, it is, we can mix that delusion with wisdom. Right? We cannot eliminate the delusions, but we can increase our wisdom. And so then we can have, if I have the motivation to benefit sentient beings, part of that can come from real good heart and wisdom. And another part can come from attachment. So it is mixed, right? And then I can say, okay, what kind of actions do they advise us to do in order to create good karma? And I make sure that I harm less. And I make sure that I do more positive actions. And then I create the energy that I can develop more compassion and more wisdom, and see even on the more subtle level how to abstain from harming others, and how I can be of benefit, you know, and then slowly, you start unwinding that spiral of samsara that we are locked in. It's the same as in a relationship, you know, it's like when we are in a relationship, there is always real love and attachment together. How do I make that relationship last, right? That's the question. The more love there is, the better that relationship will last. Right? If there is a lot of attachment, it's very difficult for relationships to last. So how can I increase the love in the relationship? By focusing less on myself and focusing more on the other person. And when I do that, I'm creating merit. Right? So this is how we do it. And yes, until we are liberated, there will be delusions mixed with the positive actions that we are doing. But that doesn't mean you can't come out, you know. Sorry. I can't hear you. Let me see if I can. Yes.
Does it work?
Yes.
I was saying small steps, Venerable.
Yes,
Really
very small steps. Yes.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it is small steps. But then when you have some merit and when your mind becomes more clear and becomes more focused, you know, you can make bigger steps and bigger steps.
That's a really long way to go before your mind gets clearer and clearer. It's all.
Well, sometimes it can be that karma suddenly ripens, you know, and you have this huge shift. But you know, yeah, that is true. It is true. It is true. It is a long way to go. It is not, and it is not easy either.
Yeah.
Right.
The question was coming because I was thinking, we also exaggerate our merits. We think, well, I've really done very well, you know, I've done really a lot, you know, and you think that must be giving a huge leap forward. But I don't think that's how it works. It's all big, small steps, There are no, where I am, there are no really big steps, you know. It's good to realize it also.
Right.
Not to exaggerate.
Normally merit is ripens in our next life, right? Not in this life. So even if you do great merit, you might not see the results in this life. But what you would see is that things go more easy. And what you maybe see is that you have less obstacles. And what you might see is that, you know, oh, there was this huge disappointment. And instead of being 1 week out of balance, I'm only 1 day out of balance. Right? One Lama once said, it is not that we can change anything of what we are experiencing, but we have just more skill to work through it, to walk through it. It's not bringing us out of balance anymore.
But sometimes karma ripens the same life, doesn't it? Because
And so,
some people,
yes, but can you see what I just said? I'm trying to show you where your merit is, right? So there you can see that things are going better for you. Then if you say, what is the merit that can ripen in this lifetime? You have to look into the object, right? Towards whom you are creating merit. So if anything you're doing in relationship to your spiritual teacher, anything that you're doing in relationship to your parents, other strong objects of, I don't know, I think that the Sangha, certain members of the Sangha and maybe also holy objects can also be generating strong merit that can ripen in this life. And if you do it with a very pure motivation also. Similar opposite, if you do with a very bad motivation towards these same objects, that negativity can also ripen in this life.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's very logical.
Yeah, but I think, you know, for me, the merit is, and the purification is that you walk much easier through life, the ups and downs of life. They don't impact you so much anymore. You have some kind of stability.
Yeah, I've been busy with Buddhism now for almost 10 years. And I can see it has improved.
Yes.
But really, with really small steps. I mean, things are still stabilizing a little bit more, you know, in this time. So
yes. Yes. And samsara is extremely deep, you know, they talk about the oceans of suffering because it is so vast and so deep. And of course, we are always inspired when we hear, I can achieve enlightenment in one lifetime, you know, and so we go for it and we think, you know, this is what I want to do. But in order to achieve enlightenment in one lifetime, you need already have practiced many, many lifetimes and have this huge amount of merit to be able to, you know, find all the conditions that you can achieve enlightenment. And yeah. They don't say that for most of us that's not going to happen because they want to inspire us, right? We all want to become little Milarepas. But at a certain point, you know, I don't know. I had a certain point in my life that I realized, oh, it's not going to happen this life. And that was quite disappointing because I set out, you know, I'm going to do this. And now I feel like, oh, it's okay. Yeah, it's okay. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I can only try my very best. And that's it. And then the rest is up to the gods. All right?
thank you.
Okay. Let's have a look. Sarah has a very long, oh no, so I shouldn't say that as a long question. I'll just read it. Usually, social change on a big scale is not just created by one person, but by the work of many people that is simply less visible. They are not famous or the links may not be obvious. But the interconnection of everything makes it unlikely that one person alone is really causing great social change. It seems the challenge is work for good, but release the results, the evidence of your work, because you may not be able to understand or see the ultimate impact of your work. Yes. I also believe that this change comes about due to karma, you know, that people, many people have the karma for improving their situation. And then the leader is there, or the people who facilitate the change is there, and then the change can happen. But if the people don't have the karma, you can try, you know, then that change is, that depends upon so many things, and that is true. And I think we go through waves, you know, and sometimes the mind of the people is ready to move in a certain direction, and sometimes the mind moves into another direction. Right, we're now, yes. I mean, I find that you can now see so well how the mind works by observing what's going on in the world and how we go through a wave, you know. And it is almost like the wave started, and then once the wave was going, it's nothing we can change now. It's like we just have to ride the wave until it's finished, right? At a certain point, you can't turn it around anymore. In the beginning, I had a feeling we can turn this around, but now it's like we have to just sit it out until it's finished. All right, there is another question from Stina.
Yes, thank you. How to put the words? First, I'm going to say, I understand in this room, we're on different levels and have different previous studies on Buddhism. And I'm probably not the one who studied the most. When we're introduced to Buddhism, we're told that don't take my words on this, try this out for yourself, test this theory, analyze it, and so on. And on many things I hear, that really works for me. On some things I hear, it doesn't really work for me, because I don't, like karma is the most, maybe the most obvious one, at least for me. I don't know how to test this theory. I don't know. I mean, to me, this is something, on some level, I can analyze it, and I can see that, well, when it comes to karma in the future, I can see that doing things with a certain ethic will help me and will benefit me. But when it comes to karma as an explanation to the current situation, I don't know. I can't test this. Maybe other people. I'm not asking this to be disrespectful. It with a sincere intention, but
what I said about the current situation is that you can really see the workings of the mind.
Sorry?
What I said about the current situation, I said you can see the workings of the mind. I didn't speak about karma at all in relation to that.
No, I'm not talking about what you spoke about now. I'm talking about things I've heard during the course and during other courses. Like for instance, we talked previously whether a history of sexual misconduct can lead to certain things or not. To me, this is something I don't know how we could test, like why someone would have Alzheimer's, or it was a different example. I can't remember, but do you understand my question more now?
Yes. I'm not totally sure if I understand your question, but in terms of karma is, especially the subtle workings of karma, they actually say nobody can see that except the Buddha. So you do have to accept that on the basis of faith. This faith is not a blind faith. This faith is based on, it is a faith of conviction, which you can develop independence upon studying all the teachings from the Buddha related to what we call manifest phenomena. You know, the things that we can see, the things that we can check. You studied Buddha's teachings and you say, oh, what the Buddha said there that I can see, and this I agree, and this I have experienced that. And then you check the studies on the hidden phenomena, such as emptiness. And you study that and you try to bring that to your experience. And then if you come to the conclusion that both the teachings on the manifest phenomena and the hidden phenomena, they resonate with you, then they say, then the teachings on karma, you take on the basis of faith, based on having seen that the teachings on the manifest and the hidden phenomena are resonating with you, you feel that they're truthful. So then you take karma on faith. So we cannot investigate karma. What you can do is that you say, you can do it on a course level, kind of, you know, but even that, many times things happen that you don't really understand. But you can say, so what if I'm going to become more generous? What if I'm going to consciously, you know, you have lack of money, now consciously I'm going to be more generous, and every day I'm going to, you know, at least I do one act of generosity and see what happens. So you study what they're saying about karma and you're going to apply that. When you, sometimes we have repeated experiences that we do not like, right? Some things happens again and again, and then we work through it and then it happens again. So one day Venerable Rubina said to me, you have to purify that one that is constantly happening to you. You have to say, the fact that it is happening to me, I must have done that to somebody else. And then you meditate on the suffering that it has caused, and you do your purification practice, and then see what happens. And so I did that. And I had, you know, there was definitely a clearing. There was definitely a change happening, and the things didn't come back to me anymore as before. Right. So for me, this is something that works, but it doesn't mean that then everything in karma, I don't understand it. Right. And it is also not that I have a faith of conviction, but I do think there is, I don't know. For me personally, slowly, I feel more and more there is a truth there that I have to take in consideration, and you know, without being tight, I do want to move my life in a positive way, and I also like to move the life of others in a positive way where I can do that. But you can never totally investigate karma in the way we can investigate emptiness, in the way we can investigate the other teachings from the Buddha. We can't, you know. So you're right. You're correct. We have to investigate, but this one, it's just impossible because we can't see it.
Yeah. Okay, that's really helpful to hear, because I understood that the investigation applied to all sorts of teachings. And I just couldn't get my head around this, but it's also, it's really struck what you I'm sorry, maybe I moved away from the microphone. What you said about generosity, this is like I've noticed both before I started reading and studying Buddhism, and after. Generosity, like I've noticed in my life, and I've never been in the situation that I really had a financial crisis, but I haven't had a lot of money either. But every time I've been maybe even more generous than I could afford to at the moment, it kept coming back, and in abundance, like something has happened, and like all of a sudden I had more money than I started with. So yeah.
Well, maybe that is a little indication, and you could try that out, you know. But the main thing with karma is that your motivation, and I think you have been generous very spontaneously. You gave more than your intellectual mind would say you could do, but you just felt you had to do it, you know. Then this kind of karma is a very pure motivation. Then the money comes back, or the whatever you give comes back, and even more than that you gave. So these are very good moments, you know. Both the moments that we give, and then the moments that it comes back.
Yeah, this is perhaps not part of the, I mean, it's still related to karma. Firstly, karma was just an example, but the one that I've been struggling most with when it comes to what can I and what can I not analyze. But I can sometimes get a bit provoked by maybe not personally, but yeah, I don't know. When it comes to karma, as an explanation to why people are suffering right now. Not when I look at like individuals, but when I look at people, like for example, the situation in Yemen at the moment, which is challenging. In Yemen,
In Yemen.
or in Afghanistan, and even more rampant example probably this week. However, is it possible that people in the same geographical location have so similar karma that they're subject to very similar, I mean, suffering, how they suffer, but at least subject to the same external circumstances in the same time, like with karma as an explanation? I don't know, uncomfortable with this idea.
Yes, what we sometimes do is we use karma as an excuse of not to act. You know, oh, these people in Yemen, it's just their karma. You know, this is a wrong way of using the word karma. I always feel like let's use the word karma just for our own experiences, for our own life, but let's never use it to point to others, you know, because with the way that our mind works, the moment we say, oh, it's their karma, we disengage, we feel not responsible anymore for what is happening. We feel that we do not have to do anything. We might even have the connotation of, you know, there must have been bad people in the past, that this is happening to them. I don't think that we have the correct understanding to use it in a way that it is suitable, you know. So I tell my students normally, don't ever point your finger to anybody else and talking about karma. Karma, you can do like this, you know, it's my karma. This is my experience, this is my karma. I want to change my karma. And that is the only way I want to speak about karma. Not about, oh, this is their karma. But if somebody says, I want to help these people, what can I do? Like Jogi was talking about. Then I can say that how karma works, you know, but not like, oh, these people have the karma, that, so therefore you do not do anything. Not like that, you know, but to indicate that sometimes even if we want to make change, that it might be more difficult than we think because there's so many causes and conditions at work. Right. So the main thing when we see people suffer, karma should never come to the mind. The only thing that should come to mind is compassion. Compassion. That is what helps us to connect with these other human beings. And this is what, even if we cannot do anything, we can at least generate a wish that they are free of that. We can generate a wish that the wars, that they stop. We can generate, you know, and I think if we all do that, we might actually maybe create an energy that a change can happen.
Okay.
All right. Can you do something with that?
I can do something with that. That's because to me it's also, yes, I said it is uncomfortable to put karma in the equation when I see like suffering on that kind of scale.
Yeah. Don't think about karma. That's the job of the people who suffer. You think about how can I help? What can I do?
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the whole week, of course.
Let me see. How are you? Still had a question? I read your answers or your suggestions, Alice. You know, I think if you want to know more about karma, you need to you study karma, and there are certain laws in terms of the law of cause and effect, and there are certain characteristics in karma, and you study that and you read through that and you think about it, and I think a lot of answers will already come when you do that. I prefer not to make this a whole talk about karma. I mean, we maybe be fascinated, but is that all right? Yes. Okay. How are?
Can I ask you about nihilism and how to avoid nihilism, and how some people may fall into the trap of feeling that nothing matters?
Yeah. What is your question about that?
How does that happen, and how can we avoid that from happening?
How it happens is when people hear about emptiness, that they generate the mind that then therefore nothing exists or nothing matters because everything is empty. If you realize emptiness, if you start, for instance, there is one meditation, it is not a real meditation on emptiness, but it is often used as if it is a meditation on emptiness, where you start looking for the object that we impute, so me, the self, I'm going to look, where is the self? Is the self in the body? And I look everywhere in the body and I cannot find the self. And then I look in my mind and I look everywhere and I cannot find the self. Then I look outside of the body and the mind, there is no self there either. Then I come to the conclusion, so there is no self. So what I perceive is not true. So there is nothing. Right? And then some people, they just go partying. I mean, I know one monk, when I was at Chenrezig, he heard the teachings on emptiness, and then he was with 4 monks in the car, and he said, everything is empty anyway, so I'm going to drive now against this wall, He was nuts. It was like, that is not the meaning of emptiness. Actually, the meaning of emptiness is everything is empty because it is a dependent arising. Because it is a dependent arising, everything does matter. Because things are empty, everything does matter. Because with everything that we are doing, we're creating causes and conditions. Even these are very small actions, they do matter because of emptiness. Because of emptiness, very little things can ripen into very big effects. Because of emptiness, even if we have created huge negativity, we can purify that action because of emptiness. So emptiness makes everything possible. Right? But people turn it around and they say, so it doesn't matter because it's empty. And that is the opposite meaning of what emptiness actually refers to. Right? Many people say that. Same as with karma, we take these words in the mouth and then we throw it out and we think that is what the meaning is. But we to really get the meaning, I'm still trying to get the meaning, especially related to karma, because we have so many ideas and conceptions due to our upbringing, due to our culture, which have nothing to do with what is actually meant by these words. And so we have to purify our own understanding. We have to, having grown, I can only talk about what my experience is, but karma often comes as a punishment, right? We can see that. Oh, people, you can see it on Facebook everywhere. Oh, this is karma. When do we say that? When somebody suffers. Right? When somebody has an accident, oh, that's karma. But karma is so much more than just pointing to an experience. What do we know? Every experience in life is karma. Why do you want to point out and then say, ha, you have some bad luck, you are hurting yourself there? That's karma. Well, we can say that from every moment in our life is karma. And in every moment of our life, we create karma. Right? So I think we have to, same with emptiness. We hear about emptiness. We hear about, that nothing exists inherently, and then we throw all existence away.
So what you're saying, if I understand, the difference is some people think nothing matters, but the reality is, because of dependent arising, everything matters.
Yes.
So if you understand the dependent arising, then you understand that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And also, I think one reason that people fall into nihilism is that inherent existence and existence, they appear as the same thing for us. And when we negate inherent existence, the object, we cannot see the object because the object is too subtle. It's like when we negate inherent existence, it looks like there is nothing. And that is how the mind works. And we cannot change that, you know?
And I think that's what I was leading to when I was asking about the fear of death, because I feel like oftentimes when we talk about inherent, losing the idea of inherent existence, it feels like
that's saying something different, but that's truth. When you start realizing, and I think when we did this meditation on, you know, who do you believe you are and how much do you identify with your body, with your role, with your, you know, certain qualities. When you want to let go of something, for instance, your fear of abandonment, that feels so like you because you have experienced it so many times, that when you think about yourself without that, you don't exist. You don't know how you can be. And so then if you let it go anyway, it feels like a small death, you know, the self-grasping mind, letting go. It feels like a small death. And so spiritual practice is you go through small death again and again. And that's a good thing. It can be scary in the beginning, you know, but at the same time, it's very freeing to let go that old coat. Yes, true.
Can I say one thing very, very quickly about karma? We were just speaking about compassion. I find that, if it's okay, I find that one thing that helps me is when I see people who are creating negative action, or they create harm, or even towards me, or however it can be abusive. One of the things I think is if I think of karma, if I believe in karma, like if I believe that things operate based on karma, then I try to think, okay, maybe I try to think this person is creating negative karma for themselves, and you immediately, the next step would be to have some compassion for them, because if you can see that really they're harming themselves by harming others, they're really just harming themselves.
Yes.
Then maybe easier to develop that sense of compassion.
Yeah.
So I don't know, if I just wanted to offer that.
Yes.
Something I do.
Yes. Yes. That's what Shantideva encourages us to do, you know, because we feel that it is a negativity, or that is a negative experience when people are angry at us. But then they first say, see it as something positive. It is purifying your negative karma. And then in the next, so that you don't have your own aversion, you don't feel upset, and then you can look at the other person and say, actually, this person now is creating negative karma for themselves, you know, and they're going to experience the result. So then in dependence on that, you practice compassion. And if you can do that sincerely, you know, and you can stay present when somebody is so angry, you can, you know, things become different, no?
You try to help them.
You're going to help them, but also for the other person. The other person, it is very difficult to stay angry at such a kind person.
Correct. Yeah.
Right? They start feeling ashamed, and they think like, oh my gosh, what am I doing now? They get some reflection of what kind of action they are engaged in. And that can help to make the change, you know, and sometimes you come out as best friends out of such an experience.
Yeah. But it's hard.
It's very hard. It's very hard. What is the hardest part?
What is the hardest part?
Yeah.
It goes back to the same thing, the self-grasping, like the need to protect yourself, the belief that I'm in danger, I need to protect myself, I need to defend myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that
what is the one that we work first on? Like, oh, they're purifying my negative karma, and So that helps a lot. If you can see something positive in when people abuse you in that way, your aversion stops, right?
I mean, I say all of this
because of the aversion and then the anger, that is the protection.
Yeah.
So how do you turn that around? By thinking, how is this beneficial for me? As soon as I can see that what is happening is beneficial for me and I can say yes to that, my anger and aversion is gone.
You know, and I say that with respect to personal safety and to boundaries and to just, sometimes we need to remove ourselves from dangerous situations no matter what. But ultimately, that's the process. I think what's happening inside you is more important. Right?
Yeah, yes.
Like, I don't want to say, you know, if you're in a dangerous relationship.
You're first going to tell me how to practice and how we can use it as a practice of compassion. And then I make it a little bit more visible. And then you say, oh, no, but you actually have to protect yourself. So
I know.
Where do you want to go?
I feel I need to just be careful. That's all. If I say these things.
So even when there is somebody who is dangerous for you in terms of protection, right? You do want to protect yourself, but you do not want to obscure your mind with that strong aversion and anger that is going to separate you totally from the other person. Physically, yes. I mean, and I'm talking about where you eventually want to end up with your practice, right? This is not something that I can practice in the here and now. But mentally, you want to stay free from your reaction of anger. But on the physical level, if there is need for protection, you have to protect yourself, right?
And I say this specifically in mind to people who are in abusive relationships, as an example. Like,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
It's not an excuse.
If you talk about so some situations, they are so unhealthy, you have to make sure that you leave that situation. When we talk about practicing and practicing about, you know, that we have to let go of aversion and about letting go of anger, that doesn't mean that therefore you have to stay and therefore you have to accept abuse, right? If that is happening, then you say, you first have to acknowledge that that is what is happening and then that you are in danger and then you have to get out. But you have to take care of your mind, you know, that your mind doesn't get overrun by anger and hatred. Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah, it is hard. It is hard. And yes, it is hard. And I hear myself talk about, oh, this is abuse. And I hear immediately Lama Zopa Rinpoche saying, and they're talking about abuse and they call it abuse. And what is abuse? Where is abuse? Abuse is from the mind. Abuse is not. So, you know, even if we label that, we create a situation for the mind, which makes it more difficult to stay free from the delusions. If we can see that as an event where we purify negative karma instead of abuse, that is more empowering than labeling an abuse. But I can also see that people who deny abuse, they first need to be able to say, no, this is abuse. You should walk away. It is okay that you walk away, you know? And then, so however your mind works, you have to find ways of reflecting on it that you take care of you in a healthy way, and that can go in steps. And each step might seem even contradictory to the previous step. So we can't make this one recipe for everyone. If this happens, you practice that, you know. It depends where you are. It depends what you have gone through in your life. It depends. Everything depends. But eventually you want to end up that you can generate compassion for the person who did harm to you. Can you still follow me? I'm very sorry. I was just doing a mental trip.
Yeah. So, like,
I just want to check everyone because some people are watching like, what is she talking about? Yeah.
It's different to having, like if you see someone far away from you on the news, on TV, who's being violent, who's acting out and creating a lot of chaos in the world, you can develop some compassion for this person and see how much suffering they're causing for themselves. That's different practically on the conventional level to living with someone who's doing that to you, whether it's a parent or a partner or however. So those are two different contexts, and I think
yes, and also yes.
That's all I wanted to say. That's, I mean, carefully.
Yes, we try to practice compassion where we can. And then when we cannot, we try to sometimes, I mean, if the situation is really dangerous or violent, or most of us, we're not going to think, oh, now I'm going to practice compassion. You just use whatever skill you have in order to bring yourself in safety. And then later you clean up the mess that you made, I mean, that's what I do. And that is not what I maybe should say as a Buddhist teacher, but, I'm a human being. And yeah, we just do what we can, no? And we are limited. And we're all wounded. And so when we react, we come from that place. How is everyone feeling? You have to put a hand down, Howard. Otherwise, I think you still want to ask questions. How are you feeling? Good. Good. Is there anything left that we need to do? So when we want to connect with our true nature, and we want to visualize a road towards our true nature, what do I need to do in order to get there? You can make a very simple concept about either we are connected or we are disconnected. When we are connected, we're walking more towards the nature of a mind. When we choose for disconnection, we walk away from the nature of the mind. Right? That's how a computer program works. It's either a 1 or a 0. And I think the mind works very similar. We either walk towards connection or we walk away from connection. So walking towards connection means that we connect more and more with what is, instead of that we make things up. And connection we can feel in our body and in our mind. Especially when we're going to go more to subtle levels, there is a lot of feeling to do. When we connect, the feeling becomes from a more pleasant nature, not pleasant in terms of the pleasure of attachment, but how you say that? The good feelings that arise, they are not really connected to attachment and aversion. There is just the enjoyment of good feelings. Sometimes, if we would compare ourselves with a big tree, and we want to think what makes that the tree can grow so well, that is the roots that has the tree in the ground, and all the water and the nourishment that the tree is getting from the soil. That is what is helping, right? And then how the tree is connected to, do I call that heaven? Do I call that the sky? Do I call that, how it is reaching out? They need to be both present for the tree to flourish. They need to function both for the tree to flourish, and everything in between need to function as well for the tree to flourish. So if we compare ourselves with a tree like that, we need to make sure that we have roots, and we also make sure that we reach out, you know, and I'm going to call that reaching out, taking refuge, or connecting with the higher energies or the higher beings or the bodhisattvas and the Buddhas. Right? We need to do both. And then we have to make sure that everything in between is connected as well. We need to do that on the physical level. We need to do that on the level of the mind. Right? Because the body and the mind, especially when we go to more subtle levels, they work very closely together. And so we need to take care really well of the body in terms of the food that we put in terms of the exercises that we are doing, in terms of the way that we work with the body. And with the mind, the same is, how do we connect with the mind? One way is that we understand reality and that we reflect on reality, right? And that we contemplate on the impermanence, on the emptiness, on dependent arising. And then the way we act, we think about the real nature of reality is that we are all connected. So what helps me connect is compassion, right? Compassion for myself, compassion for others. Not just one other, all others, you know, everywhere where you can connect, you connect. Sincerely, from the heart, well rooted in the ground, you know. Then I think we create causes and conditions that our mind, our body and mind, our whole being will be more and more ready to really go into the meditations on the nature of the mind. So look for connection, no matter how, you know, connecting with the view, connecting with loving kindness and compassion, connecting with the body and the mind together, that they work together. Connect. And all these connections, you know, the better we connect, the more we can start feeling the subtleties. And the nature of the mind is very subtle. So we have to make it more subtle, more subtle, more subtle. Going back to the mind and not engrossing ourselves so much in the world also helps to connect with our nature. Right? When we are out there, running from here to there, buying things, indulging in sensual pleasure, it's very difficult to go to the nature of the mind, you know? But finding a quiet moment, even if it is only 5 minutes a day, where you close your eyes and where you connect with your heart, that can be very nourishing and very helpful. Even if you don't understand anything what you experience, right? Just sitting and watching inwardly. You don't have to understand, just make that connection. It's good enough. You know, then slowly, slowly you will sort it out. You know, the mind loves when we make that connection. You know, it's like something, when we do that one day, the next day, the whole week, every day, 5 minutes. After a few weeks, the mind will start asking, you know, you forget. And the mind is like, no, I want you to sit down 5 minutes. As if you have a communication with yourself, you know, but you don't have to talk, you don't have to understand, you just connect. And slowly, slowly, True, Carol? Good. And never give up, you know, because we can only do one step at a time. And when we look at emptiness, there is one question that I haven't seen. What does it mean to look at emptiness of an object by meditation? It means, is this an experience or is it consistent? I'm not sure what you mean with that. But if you meditate on the emptiness of an object, you first have the object in mind, and then that object appears in a certain way, and you investigate whether that object exists like that or not. And then when you realize that object doesn't exist like that, the object somehow falls away and you see the emptiness of the object that you believed in. You see the lack of that object. Does that mean nothing else is there? No, it is not but when you realize, you know, if I think I have $50 in my purse and I open it and I see the $20 that are still there, but the $50 is gone, what I see first is that there is no $50. I see the emptiness of the $50. Do I not see the $20? The mind that sees the emptiness of the $50 is a different moment of mind than the one that sees the $20, right? So it is not that there is nothing, but when I talk about the absence, I cannot talk about anything else. Because that is what the mind realizes. It realizes the absence. Is there nothing there? No, but there is nothing there that I can point to, because the meditation is about realizing the absence. I don't know if that makes sense. And so in the beginning, that meditation is, and that realization is intellectually, it is conceptually. And then when you deepen the understanding and when you deepen your concentration, at a certain point, you can actually go to the direct experience of that emptiness. So is that totally empty? Is there nothing? No, there is not nothing. It is not a nothingness, but you experience a vacuity and emptiness of what you believed was there. Is that all right, Aman? You can put up a thumb with your reactions if that is okay.
Amanji, I'm trying to unmute.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, yes.
Okay, all right.
Out of it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. All right. I don't know. Shall we close off? Or have we come to the end? Are all questions kind of answered? Thank you very much for all your questions and your interest and your dedication and your patience to even think about studying this topic, and then coming every day and listening to the teachings. And I'm sure that you all have a busy life, and so that is already amazing that you have done that, and I want to thank you for that. Without you, you know, I'm also totally nothing. I cannot do anything. So you have given me an opportunity to look again deeper into the nature of the mind and what we can do in order to realize the nature of the mind. And for me, it's always helpful too to, you know, have a new topic to think about and to reflect on and to teach on. I do not know what podcast Alice is trying to get us on. You want to say something about that, Alice?
No, actually, it's just like my as we're talking about like connection, right? So it's and somebody else also mentioned that it takes like a lot of people to bring like the change that we want to see. So like that's just like my small attempt like to contribute in my way. Yeah, basically I just feel like there are so many conflicts in the world because of our opposition to differences. We feel aversion for anything that's different. So yeah, basically I just want to say like two stories in my podcast. Like the first story is like in my intercultural relationship with my Indian boyfriend, how we managed to like overcome our differences despite being very apparent. And the second one is to raise awareness for immigrants that are maybe facing so many challenges because we are different, because I am an immigrant in France like myself. So the second story is about like my growing up as an immigrant in a host country and like the challenges that immigrants face because of being different. So I just want to bring forward our humanity by saying that like please see us like you, because we are all humans and at the end of the day we all just want to be happy.
Yeah. Wonderful. So this is your podcast.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, thank you for explaining. Thank you. So yeah, thank you all very much for being here. And thank you for Tushita to give me this opportunity and for all the work that you have done, because, we are here with almost 20 people, but if you see how many people register for a course, and they all need to be follow-up done, and they get their emails and the communication, and it's quite a lot of work to organize that. So thank you very much. And Pema, she keeps going every day to Tushita, every day working in the office, every day making sure that everything keeps going on and Tushita, so that once the pandemic is finished, we can all go back.
Yes, looking forward for that. Thank you, Venerable, so much. It's a pleasure having you, and thank you so much for so kindly accepting and leading this course. And we look forward for more.
Thank
To
you.
hear you more. Thank you, everyone, so much for your interest and participation. Yeah.
And dedicate all the merits. I mean, yesterday we did a little dedication, but dedicate strongly that whatever goodness that we have generated during these 10 days, that is now a little seed, but when we water that seed can have huge impact on ourselves, on the world. So dedicate strongly that whatever positive, whatever merit we have created by doing, listening, reflecting, thinking about this, meditating, that one day that might ripen into an ability that we can be of greatest benefit to sentient beings. Thank you so much. And hope to see you next time.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Venerable.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jamyang. It's very inspiring. It's very good for my heart and my courage.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe, be well, and be happy. Bye-bye.